Story time about how my ex-husband married my mother. Disclaimer, it's not on Storytime, it's on Instagram. My husband and I divorced about a year ago. Little backstory. When my husband and I were together, we didn't really have infidelity problems. We mostly had financial problems, and we just didn't agree on having kids. I definitely did not want kids and he wanted kids. Anyway, we ended up getting divorced after 2 years of being married. Now, when he and I were married, him and my mom always got along super well. More than your average son-in-law, mother-in-law. Of course, this always made me happy. My husband just made her laugh a lot, and they would even sometimes go and have dinners together or just get drinks together. Exactly a year after he and I got divorced, towards the end of my marriage with my husband, he confessed to me that he is very attracted to older women. He even joked about how he might get with my mom after he divorced me. I thought it was funny, we both laughed. So fast forward exactly a year later. My mom invites me and my siblings over to her house for dinner. Suddenly, my ex-husband comes out of the kitchen and they both announce that they are getting married. And then they start tonguing each other. The worst part is that a few days before, I told my mom that I was missing my ex-husband. Part 2 is up. Time about how my mother is marrying my ex-husband. Disclaimer, is not my story time, it's on Instagram. I had just told my mom that I was missing my ex-husband and that I might text him. No wonder she didn't reply, because 2 weeks later they're announcing that they're getting married. As he's making out with my mom in front of her kids, in front of me, I get up from the table and I leave. At this point, I'm still not over my ex-husband. Yes, we both agreed to get a divorce, but the more time I spent away from him, the more I realized that maybe I did want kids, and that he was the perfect person to do it with. Well, at this point, I have nothing else. My ex is marrying my mom. Basically, everyone followed me into the kitchen. That's when I just let it rip. I told my mom that she was the worst mom in the world, and that I had told her 2 weeks before that I was missing my ex-husband. That's when my ex-husband looks at my mom and says, "Is that true?" My mom looks at him and says, "Yes, it's true." Then he turns to me and says that he's sorry, but he's no longer in love with me, and that the one he wants to be with is my mother. My siblings and I were all really upset, so we decided to leave. Once I get home, I get a text from my ex-husband asking to meet up with me. Comes over to my apartment. As soon as he comes in, he tries to kiss me. I couldn't resist and I kissed him back. Part 3 is up. My ex-husband grabbed me and just started making out with me. I couldn't resist it. When we finally finished making out, he tells me that he's still gonna marry my mother. I asked him why, and he said that he was marrying her because she really needed him. He kept saying things like, she's a lonely woman, he's getting older, she needed someone to take care of her. Mind you, I have 4 siblings and me who literally are always there for my mother. I have never left this woman alone a day in her life. That's when I started remembering something. A few years ago, he had a friend who married an older woman, and that basically he became her sugar baby. Then I realized that around this time, he had gotten fired from his job. Then I accused him of wanting to become a sugar baby. He got so angry he left my apartment. Then I get a call from my mother. Guess what my mom says? She said that she's willing to support him because he gives her everything she needs. She even told my brothers and sisters that we could only come to her house if we are invited. My ex-husband blocked me, trying to convince my mom to block all of us. Because of this, they got into a huge fight. My ex-husband came back to me again, but I said no. What the heck should we do?
Storytime about why I will never go Black Friday shopping ever again. So a little background information. I was 13 and in 8th grade. And my best friends and I were super excited because we'd never been Black Friday shopping before. So we had a plan that all of us would spend the night at my house and my mom would drive us to the mall at 4 in the morning. So fast forward, it's 4 in the morning and my friends and I are ready to go to the mall and my mom came with us, but we didn't stay with her the whole time. So as we were walking to the first store, we realized that there were these 3 guys behind us that have kind of been following us around since we got into the mall. But we just think it's a coincidence because, you know, it's Black Friday, the mall is packed. There are obviously going to be people going the same exact way as us. So we go into the first store, we get what we want to get, and the men didn't follow us in there. But as we're making our way to the next store, we realized that they're following us again. It was like they waited outside the first store for us to come out. So then we decided that we were going to walk around one of the kiosks a few times to see if they were really following us. And of course they were, so we went into another store and they didn't follow us in that one either. So I go up to one of the workers and I asked if they could possibly like call security or something because there are these guys following us, and she said yeah, like for part 2. Part 2 about why I will never go Black Friday shopping ever again. So like I said, my friends and I go into the one store and of course they don't follow us in there, so we ask an employee if they can call security. So whenever security got there, I told them that these guys had been following us around since we got into the mall. And then security's like, "Well, where's your mother?" acting like it was our fault that we could be kidnapped for not being with my mom. So after that, he's like, "All right, just go find your mom, you know, I'll talk to them." So I call my mom and I'm like, "Hey, where are you?" Of course, she's on the whole other side of the mall. So my friends and I are going to meet her on the other side of the mall, and we look back to see if the security guard was talking to them, and literally the security guard just walked out of the store and went the complete opposite way. Then we walk up to the security guard and we're like, "You didn't even talk to him." And then he turns around, rolls his eyes, goes over and starts talking to these guys, and then we continue to the store that my mom was at whenever we decided to stop at Starbucks to get something to drink. So after 10 minutes of waiting in line, you know, we turn around and we see these guys standing at the end of the line just staring at us. So we get out of line and we decided to just go straight to the store that my mom was at. And when we got there, we told her what was going on. So she was like, "Okay, let me get these few things and then we can leave," like for part 3. Part 3 about why I will never ever go Black Friday shopping ever again. So like I said, we got out of line and we went straight to the store that my mom was at, and she was like, okay, just let me get these few things and then we can leave. So we start walking towards the exit, and then I'm like, Mom, they're still following us. So she turns around and she realizes they're literally standing 2 feet behind us. So we decided to go into one of the stores and we asked one of the employees if they could also call the head of security. And whenever head of security got there, she literally tore them a new you-know-what. After that, my mom tries to go and point out the guys, and they're not standing there anymore. So they're like, well, what do you want us to do? And then my mom's like, well, you can walk us out to our car. So they walk us out to our car, and then they stand there while we're getting in. My mom starts the car and she starts backing up, and we literally run over something. And all of a sudden we hear like screaming and moaning, and the security guards look under the car, and literally one of the guys who was following us is literally laying under our cars with a knife. And as soon as that happened, there was literally a van parked right across from our car. The van drove away really fast, but the police ended up catching up to it, and they found like 8 girls in that van.
Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend that she can't speak Japanese to my parents during Thanksgiving?
Probably.
I, male 35, have met my girlfriend, female 30, at work. We're both interpreters. We've been together for a few months, and Thanksgiving will be the first time she's going to meet my parents. I am half Japanese. My dad is Japanese. My mother is American. My mother learned Japanese so she can connect with my paternal side of my family. Me and my siblings all speak Japanese. However, none of my siblings' spouses do. My girlfriend, Sasha, started learning Japanese before it got popular. She started learning it when she was 14, has both a BA and an MA in Japanese and translation and interpreting.
Cool.
She sounds as close to a native speaker as possible.
Wow.
However, I warned her that she shouldn't try and speak Japanese when meeting my parents or grandparents, and that she's forbidden from using it even when I'm using it with my siblings. What?
Rude.
She asked why, and I told her that I'd hate for my sister-in-laws and brother-in-laws to be uncomfortable because they don't speak it, and I don't want her to become my grandparents/parents' favorite because we've only been together a few months, and it wouldn't be fair if they liked her more than my sister-in-law of 10 years who doesn't speak Japanese.
I don't know if I feel like this is thoughtful or just like fucked up.
The latter.
Yeah.
She said that's ridiculous and she shouldn't have to hide it.
Yeah.
I said that perhaps later when we've been together for longer. She asked if she had to pretend not to understand me and my siblings when we talk, and I said, exactly.
Oh!
She got really weird and went home. She's been kind of distant lately, and I told a friend about this, and they said I was a major asshole.
Yeah.
And if they ask her about her job, does she have to lie as well? I admit I hadn't thought of all that, but I still can't see that I did anything wrong.
What?
So am I the asshole
Yes.
for demanding she lies?
Yes. Weirdo.
So, my mother-in-law, I'm a gal by the way, came to stay with us for a few weeks till her home is renovated for Christmas. The problem is that she has been randomly walking in on me while I'm in the bathroom. Thankfully, not once has she seen me naked, but I started picking up on her behavior after the second time in a week. She'd barge in, then turns and says, "Oh, sorry," then closes the door. I tried talking to my husband about it, but he kept ignoring me and then flat out said, "So what if she accidentally sees you naked? She's family." He seriously said that. We have a lock and I could have used it, but I have past trauma from the idea of being locked in a room after my brother locked me in the bathroom when I was 5. So I came up with this idea. I'd go inside the bathroom pretending to use it and wait for her to come. Because honestly, it's deliberate at this point. When she accidentally barges in, she'd see me in a weird, awkward position. For example, doing a ballet stand, standing on the toilet, or standing facing the wall with my hands up. I could see how awkward and weird this would be for her because she'd stand there for a few seconds trying to figure out what I was doing. It was hilarious at first seeing her initial confusion, but she told my husband about it, claiming she's caught me practicing rituals in the bathroom. I cleared things up and revealed the reason why. He called me childish and said that I made his mom feel terrified and weirded out. He said I should have acted immaturely and locked the damn door instead of playing mind games. My husband and his mom are extremely upset at me. He still thinks it was ridiculous and is demanding an apology before she goes back to her home. I'm not sure if I'll apologize, but yes, while it was a me problem that I couldn't use the lock, it still feels wrong what she did, and maybe I'm wrong too, but at least I got a little chuckle out of it. Am I in the wrong for doing weird, awkward poses whenever my mother-in-law accidentally walks in on me in the bathroom? I regularly visit a gentleman's club in my area, and for the past few months, I've been seeing one particular dancer, Tiffany. In addition to tipping her and getting dances, I buy Tiffany at least one drink every shift. She always requests the same thing, a screwdriver made with a certain brand of vodka. A while back, I went in and Tiffany sat with me as usual. I ordered Tiffany's drink from the barmaid and got one for myself as well. But when I sipped it, I didn't taste any alcohol at all despite having seen the barmaid pour from the same bottle as she used to make Tiffany's drink. Tiffany excused herself to freshen up, and after the barmaid walked away, I grabbed the bottle and poured some into an empty glass. As I suspected, it wasn't vodka, it was plain water. When Tiffany came back, I asked if we could go to the back for a dance. When she sat on my lap, I asked her about the fake vodka. I told her that I knew it was really water. She tried to tell me it was a one-time thing because she's visiting her sick grandma tomorrow and doesn't want to be hungover. I pressed her and asked her if she'd been getting water shots the entire time we've been seeing each other. She finally admitted that she's a Mormon and doesn't drink alcohol at all. I admit that I got pretty upset about how she lied, so she called the bouncer and I got kicked out. When I tried to go back, I was told that I've been permanently barred from the club. I told him that I wanted to speak to a manager and he threatened to kick my ass into next fucking week. I went home and I called the club and the manager answered. I told him that I was basically frauded and that I wouldn't demand my money back for the aborted lap dance, but I wanted a refund on every drink I was restricted to buying for Tiffany. I've been seeing her every Friday and Saturday plus a few other weeknights from time to time. So even assuming that I only bought her 2 drinks on Friday and Saturdays, every screwdriver is $12, so that puts me at $960 spent on nothing but orange juice and water. He called me a yutz and hung up, but they haven't heard the end of this. Am I in the wrong for demanding a refund on drinks that I bought a stripper?
Am I the asshole for telling my wife that leaving her used pad in my brother's place was inappropriate? My wife and I were invited to my brother's 31st birthday. He's single and lives alone in his apartment. Also, for a heads up, my wife and him don't get along so well. So we went and had dinner and talked and everything was going well. No argument, nothing, till after my wife went to use the bathroom. Later, my brother went to use the bathroom and came back looking pissed. He kept giving me and my wife looks, but I didn't know what was going on until he pulled me aside before we left. He told me that my wife left her used pad in the bathroom. I was